I'm going to make a quick drop-down list that opens up a new tab of different websites of a certain topic. The particular topic that I have here is carbon nanotubes, and this is the drop-down list. You've got each option. It's kind of like a link, but they're called options with a drop-down list, and it has a background of pink, and the text is bold and black so you can see it clearly. There's a border around each option that makes it appear kind of like raised planks. And each one of these takes you, if you click it, to a web address. This one is Carbon Nanotubes in Medicine Wikipedia, except for the first one. The first one doesn't have an address linked to it, so it just opens a new tab and you just have this white screen because there's no particular address set to it. If you click it initially, if you're already on it and you click it, all it does is drop your drop down. But if you go to another site, if you click a different option and then you go back and click it, it's going to give you that white screen. I'm not sure how to fix that. I know there's got to be a way to code that. I just don't have it in this particular video. Anyway, the drop-down list is surrounded by something called a field set, which is kind of giving it a little line around it. The edges are rounded. This is called the CSS style of border radius. I gave it a border radius of, I think I gave this one a 10. And I'll show you how the difference between the higher numbers, like a border radius of 50, how it changes this corner, or a border radius of 20 or border radius of 10 when it's a smaller number, what it does to the corners. This right here, which is kind of like a title, is called the legend. It's the legend of the field set. And you can also colorize this any way you want and make the size of the font any way you want. Same thing with the field set. We could have a red field set here if we want, or we could have a different color legend with a different color field set. Let's see. I showed you when I clicked on one of these, it actually, and I came back to the drop-down list, it actually changed the background. So we know that I've been to carbon nanotubes in medicine, and I've been to carbon nanotubes, the tiny material that can transform the microchip. This is only good as long as the browser's open. I didn't deal with any cookie code that would actually keep this for a week or a year or anything like that with the browser. It's only good as long as the browser's open, and I'll show you that if I refresh the browser and I open it up, there's nothing that has a maroon background. It's all pink again. So let's take a peek at the code. And if you go to the top of the HTML file, you have the opening HTML tag, and at the very bottom you have the closing HTML tag. The closing HTML tag is identical to the opening, except on the right before the word HTML you have this forward slash. All of these, the closing body, closing field set, closing form, and closing select, that's how all the closing tags go to its counterpart up here. There's the opening HTML, and here's the opening head and closing head. Everything inside the head is relatively easy here. The only thing I've got inside the head at this point is a title and a style for a few things. The title is DDL nanotubules in the human body. So if I go back to my browser, it's right up here. This happens to be Firefox, and it's this rounded tab up here. If I go back to the code and right in front of the DDL, type in a few Z's and then hit save all, go back to my browser and hit refresh, you see the Z's up here in the tab right before DDL nanotubules in the human body. So I'm going to go back to the code. I'm going to get rid of those Z's. I'm going to hit save in Notepad++ because that's what I'm using to do my code in, and I'm going to go to the style tags. There's three things that I'm styling in this set of style tags, which is again enclosed in the head. You can have external style sheet that links in the head here, but I preferred, since I only had a few styles, to leave it right here in this HTML file itself. We are going to style the options. The options are the styles to the options are all enclosed in these curly braces. Same thing with the legend. We're going to style the legend, and every style that applies to the legend is going to be set in its own set of curly braces. And lastly, we are going to style the field set, and again, repetitiously speaking, everything in the curly braces is what styles the field set. Our options are all of these links. and we've given it a background color of pink. There's one style, background slash color, colon pink, semicolon. That's the entire way to type that style. The next style goes from here to the semicolon, border colon, thick silver outset semicolon. I'm going to change this thick silver outset to a thick purple double. And I'm going to save it in Notepad++. I'm going to go back to my browser. I'm going to refresh it. And you see the difference. Now we have a double purple border around each and every option. I don't like the way that looks, so I'm going to Control Z until it gets back to what it started as, the thick silver outset. The padding, colon 5 pics for pixels, semicolon. What that does is in between the border and the actual words, carbon nanotubules and medicine, the padding is 5 pixels so that the actual text isn't bumping right up against the border. If I increase that space, let's increase the padding to 15 and see what happens. Save it in Notepad++, go back to the browser and refresh. Do you see how each one of these got big? Well, we increased the space between our border and our text, which actually doesn't look too bad. It's just a lot thicker. But I really don't need that, so I'm going to change that back to what it was, which was 5. And we have a font weight of bold, which just makes the font a nice, bold, thick text. Our legend, again, this is the legend right here. It belongs to the field set. It's kind of like a title for the field set. We have it a font size of 25 pixels. We gave it a color of blue, and we gave it a font weight of bolder. Let's change the font size to bigger than 25 pixels. Let's make it 55 pixels, and let's change the color of that legend to red. I highlight blue and then just type red, hit save in Notepad++, go back to the browser, hit refresh, and voila, I've changed my legend. I don't want to keep that though, so I'm going to Control Z until I get back to what I started with. If you go too far like I just did, hit Control Y and that'll go up one command. So there was our legend, and now our field set. We have border radius 10 pics. Okay, let's remind you what that border radius looks like. You see that corner, that rounded corner? Now from 10 pics, I'm going to change that to 50 pics. I'm greatly increasing the border radius. So now when I hit refresh, wow, it's very much more rounded. It's more like a cylinder instead of a rounded rectangle. And if I minimize it greatly, let's change that to, I don't know, 5. It's going to almost look pointy. See, it's pretty pointy. I think a good border radius, just to make it look slightly rounded, is 20 pics. That's kind of like a standard. And that's what I'm going to leave that at. My border is thick blue solid. Same thing, I can change my border to green. And instead of the field set being solid, let's see what it looks like inset. It gives it kind of a 3D effect, sort of, kind of like it's sinking in ever so slightly. That's not too bad, but I'm going to change it to what it was. Control Z, and I'm going to save that. Okay, so that's it for our styles, and that's the end of the head. Here's our body tag, our opening body tag, and you go all the way down here, yada yada yada, there's the ending body tag. Okay, this is how you make comments for yourself. Less than sign, exclamation point, dash dash. You put your little comment in, and the way you close that up is go dash dash greater than sign. As long as this is on the end and this is on the beginning, you're going to get this nice green font, and the browser's not going to read this at all. This is just a little note for yourself. Now we're going to get to our field set. There's our opening field set tag, and here's our ending field set tag. Here's our legend, beginning tag and ending tag, carbon nanotubes. If I put a bunch of Z's right here and hit save, go here and refresh, you see I've actually changed my legend again. So I don't want to leave that there. I want to take those Z's off and save it. After the field set and legend tags, we're going to have a form tag. This is what's going to help us create our options for our drop-down list. There's the beginning of the form tag, and there's the end of the form tag. Right after the form tag, we have a select tag. This is pretty long, and you have to make sure that everything is copied perfectly. Select, name equals select, in double quotes, on change, that's an event, equals, and everything in the on change event is in double quotes. Window.open, parentheses, this.options, straight brackets, this.selected index, dot value, comma, and then in single quotes underscore blank. So that's basically going to be, this underscore blank is what's going to allow our page to open up in a new tab. And if you look down here at the bottom, you're going to have the end select right here. The end select, the end form, the end field set, the end body, and the end HTML are all very easy tags. It's usually the opening tag that has all of the detailed information in it. So our first option here, from here to here, is our opening option tag. Option value equals, and there's nothing in the double quotes. And then the ending option tag is like any other ending option tag. And here we have what we can link, the text that you would actually click with your mouse, carbon nanotubes. Now, since there's nothing in this value, what happens when we actually click on that right here? It opens up a tab, but there's nothing in the page because it takes us to no address. See, it says about blank. There's nothing going on here. So our second option, this is what all the other options are going to have. And it starts, here's the opening tag again. It goes from here to here. Option value equals, and in double quotes we have the whole address. http://en.wikipedia.org/wiki/carbon_nanotubes_in_medicine. Now we also have an on-click event here that's also inside the beginning tag. It says on-click equals, and again, everything's in double quotes, style.background color equals, and in single quotes, maroon. And here's the ending option tag. Everything between the beginning and ending tags, this is going to be our link. This is going to be the title of the website. And basically every option that's here until we get to the end select, end form, end fill set, end body, and end HTML is all the same. The only thing that we change is we change the address to the website that you want to go to, and that's what the value is, and then you change the title that you're going to click on that's going to take you there. So that's basically it in a nutshell. Let's see, how do you get an address? If you go and open a new tab and click the hourglass, click the Google, so we get a Google search. Let's look up kites and hit enter. Google's going to give us this fantastic list of websites that talk about kites. So let's click on Into the Wind. I've actually had this brochure before. They have a lot of nice kites, and you could look and you go, okay, I like that website, I want to keep it. So then you just copy and paste, you highlight, you click on the address, you copy it, and you go into let's go here. I'm going to put it in this value where there's nothing. So it fits right in the double quotes, and instead of carbon nanotubes, I'm going to say Into the Wind because that's the name of the website. So then I'm going to save it. I'm going to go to the browser. I'm going to refresh it. Oops, I refreshed the wrong thing. I'm going to refresh my actual page, and if you see, if we click Into the Wind, well, for some reason, when it's the first thing, it's not doing anything. If I go to one of these first and then go back, because Into the Wind is not in this first spot, and now I click Into the Wind, it's going to open it up. So I'm sure there's some code workaround so that I don't actually have it function like that, because I don't really like it functioning like that. But I don't have it right now. So I'm just going to go back to the very first kind of title. Where did I go? I'm going to go back to that being a value of nothing, and I'm going to capitalize it. Whoa. And save it. Refresh. See, now I'm going to click it, and if it does accidentally go here, and then you go back, and if you accidentally click it, it's just going to give you this blank page, which still that isn't the way I want it to function either, but the code that I have, this is how it runs. Anyhow, that is a very quick and dirty way to make a drop-down list for a web page. I've went over brief CSS styles and brief HTML code for this particular form element.